actually, let's dive into some of the stories I have, so I think that will bring it all together more. Here it is. Here are some of the key differences and some of the key points that the producers completely missed in this episode that proves Tamra Judge is lying on Shannon when it comes to the rumors about Gina allegedly pushing Travis down the stairs, when it comes to the rumor about Tamra doing a background check on Ryan as well. So I'm going to break down why they're different and also how she got exposed as being a liar. And if I was the producer, I would have called her out on this. The first big difference is that Tamra brings it to the show. She's the one who brought it to the show that, Ryan was allegedly being investigated by the FBI. There was some alleged Ponzi scheme, a lawsuit, cheating allegations, all of that. She brings all of the dirt to the show versus Shannon, when Tamra's like, oh, well, Shannon wanted to get information on Gina, whether or not, she pushed Travis down the stairs and what's going on with the divorce. Shannon never brought any of that to the actual show. And if we're being honest, all of the housewives do that. They do recognizance. They ask bloggers and podcasters, what do you know about the housewives? They ask their lawyers. They're all doing background checks. They're all doing, digging dirt up on people. Maybe not a full background check like Tamra did, but they're all doing that. They all want information. They all want tea. They all want scoop. I mean, Katie literally was trying to get scoop on Heather. They all do it. The difference is when you actually bring it to the show, to the cameras, that crosses a line. 1 second, you guys, I need to cough. Sorry about that, was just running my mouth. And we're back. Okay. So when you actually bring it to the show, that crosses a line. That crosses a boundary into actually going after someone. And the only person who actually brings the information to the show is Tamra. She did the same thing when there was the rumor about Kelly Dodd, I think it was. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But remember a couple of seasons ago, before Tamra went on her pause, she brought up something about somebody got ran a train on. And she was the one who brought it to the show, but Vicky was the one who got blamed for it. Tamra is really good at being the person to bring up things on the show, but then deflect it and have other people be blamed for it. So those are two totally separate different things. Also, again, with the Gina and the Travis, domestic violence allegations, Shannon never brought it to the show, not during the reunion or anything like that. Also, Tamra says, and again, this is why I'm like, are the producers watching the same show? Are they listening to what people are actually saying? Tamra said, let's move to this slide. Wait, hold on 1 second. So Tamra said that Shannon was lying about the fact that she was the one who brought the Gina allegation that she pushed Travis down the stairs to her, because it was like June of 2022 and they weren't talking and Tamra wasn't on the show or a part of the group. Well, that's a lie. That's a lie. Number one, just because Tamra wasn't on the show doesn't mean that they weren't speaking. Number two, during that time, they were all doing the Tres Amigas. So it was Vicky, Shannon, and Tamra all doing the Tres Amigas. The Tres Amigas didn't break up until like the late quarter of 2022. That's when the rumors started happening about, are they, breaking up? Is Tamra leaving Tres Amigas? So clearly you were talking to Shannon because you were all in Tres Amigas. Just because you weren't on the show doesn't mean you stopped all communication with Shannon. So that was a lie. Also, how did you know that Shannon knew about the allegations against Gina and Travis? How did you know that Shannon was reaching out to lawyers and Taylor's husband and all of that, unless you were talking to her about it? So the fact that you even know about it means you talked to her about it. So your whole excuse saying it wasn't me, I didn't bring it, we weren't talking, like literally doesn't make any sense. Also, let's think about the timelines. Okay. So we're talking about 2 years ago. She said that her and Shannon weren't talking. 2 years ago is the same exact timeline of when Tamra did the background check on Ryan. 2 years ago was the same timeline, 2022, when the allegations came out about Gina pushing Ryan down the stairs. So you can't have it both ways, Tamra. You can't say, yeah, I was talking to Shannon about doing background checks on Ryan. It was all Shannon's idea. But in the same breath, be like, oh, but during that time, we weren't talking. Does not make any sense. Shannon and Tamra only, to be perfectly honest, they never stopped talking. They were always talking. There was a beef when Tamra left Tres Amigas, but that was after all of this. That was within the last 2 years. We're only now seeing the beef between Tamra and Shannon on the show because once the cameras came back up, that's when Tamra flipped on Shannon. So if they weren't talking, why was Shannon so hurt that you flipped on her? So the lies aren't making any sense. And the reason why I bring up the producers is because in the scene, they bring up like a screenshot of the Page 6 article talking about Gina allegedly pushing Travis down the stairs, and it says June 2022 on it. Like that was co-signing what Tamra said. But the first thing I thought was, but they were doing Tres Amigas then. So that doesn't make any sense. And also 2 years ago was the same exact timeline that they were talking about doing a background check on Ryan. So you can't tell me you're in cahoots with her doing background checks on Ryan, but you weren't speaking to her during the same exact time frame about Gina and Travis. That doesn't make any sense. And you were doing Tres Amigas. So you were talking to Shannon and you guys were in contact. So you're lying. Like if I was in the producer, I would be like, but weren't you doing Tres Amigas then? So weren't you guys friends? Well, if you and Shannon weren't talking during that time, then how did you know she wanted to look into it? How did you know she wanted to call the lawyer if you guys weren't talking? So it doesn't make any sense. But, I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think that the producers dropped the ball by not checking timelines, by not asking the right questions, by not knowing basic information about the castmates that clearly and easily prove Tamra was completely lying about the whole thing? As if we needed proof, we got it. We got it. Okay. Now, I want to talk about 7 signs that Tamra. Oh, another thing I wanted to say. Another key difference when it comes to Tamra and Shannon with the whole Ryan background check situation. Tamra is such a weirdo and such a liar, and she tells on herself, but she's like not that smart. She thinks she's really doing something, but while she's trying to take Shannon down, she actually exposes that she's a liar. Did you catch that when she was talking to Heather, she was like, oh yeah, well, Shannon knew about the whole Ryan thing, some lawsuit about timeshares in a different country and how they were like selling, they were collecting the HOA checks, but nothing was actually being built. And so there was like this big lawsuit. And Shannon was like, oh my gosh, Leslie Beador's ex-husband is implicated in that. Can we get all the information? The reason why that is so important is because that is why Shannon wanted Tamra and her private detective person, whoever the hell, to do a deeper dive into that case, was because Leslie Beador is David Beador's, her ex-husband, estranged wife now. At the time they're married, that woman has done restraining orders against David, DV cases against him. I don't know what's going on over there. That's just a hot mess over there. But she's Leslie Beador now. She's Shannon's ex-husband's wife. She was the woman who was sleeping with Shannon's husband. She was the side chick. She was the mistress. They got divorced. He knocked her up and they got married. That was why Shannon was saying, I want more information on this. Shannon does not care about Jenn and Ryan. Not in a negative way, but in like a, why the hell would Shannon give 2 Fs about what's going on with Jenn and Ryan? Shannon doesn't care. Shannon barely talks to Jenn. I think they've said 3 words to each other the entire 2 years Jenn has been on the show. So why in the world would Shannon care about what is going on with Ryan? Now, does Shannon care about what's going on with Gina and Travis? 1,000%. But that's because Shannon and Gina were beefing. They had an on again, off again friendship. Gina would go after Shannon. Shannon would go after Gina. They have a long standing of on again, off again friends. And at that time, they were beefing. So does it make sense that Shannon is more interested and would want to be more involved in understanding about Gina and Travis to have the ammo for the reunion? Yes, that makes sense. However, again, the difference is Shannon never brought it to the show. Never brought it to the show, did not use it at the reunion. But Tamra brought it to the show. And again, when Tamra's like, no, it was Shannon who wanted to do the background check, why? Shannon has no incentive. Shannon only wanted the information because she wanted information about Leslie Beador because her ex-husband was implicated in the lawsuit. She was being nosy about her ex-husband and his new wife, which makes perfect sense. That makes sense. That's why she wanted the information for her own business. Why would Shannon care about Jen and Ryan? Shannon and Jenn don't even talk to each other. Not that they have a beef, but they just don't interact. So why would Shannon care? Doesn't make sense. But of course, Tamra cares about Jenn and Ryan. She has been gunning from them since day one, acting like she's friends with Jenn, but bringing, FBI, Ponzi scheme, cheating allegations. He's this, he's that, blah, 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 blah. He said he wanted to have sex with me. He slept with everybody at my gym, blah, 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 blah. Since out of the gate, throwing napkins in Jen's face out of the gate, yelling and screaming. So what makes the most sense of who wanted a background check on Ryan? Shannon or Tamra? Obviously Tamra. And that's the gag because Tamra told on herself. She said it. She said, Shannon said, Leslie Beador's ex-husband is implicated in that lawsuit. Let's get more information about it. Right, because she wanted information on Leslie, not information on Jenn and Ryan. Because why would Shannon care? You see what I'm saying? So it's just crazy to me how Tamra thinks she's like really doing her big one. And she really thinks she's exposing Shannon. And I was really proud of Shannon for just being like, you know what, Tamra, you got to stop. You got to stop blaming me for stuff. You got to stop, lying on me. And she wasn't reactive, except for being like, I'm going to leave her own birthday. Like, stop leaving. But Tamra, again, you always tell on yourself. Always tell on yourself. What else, you guys?